Category 5 Typhoon Ragasa hitting the Philippines. Well, an incredibly powerful typhoon is affecting the northern Philippine Islands right now. Typhoon Ragasa, Philippine name Nando, currently located just off the northeastern tip of Luzon, and will be heading through those islands in the next few hours. There's its position located on the map alongside the current satellite imagery. There is a Signal 5 warning in effect for Babuyan Island. The storm's latest intensity estimate is 160 miles per hour and a pressure estimate around 901 millibars. An extremely powerful and intense storm, and also rather large as of 5 a.m. This September 22nd Philippine time this morning. So here it is once again, 19.4 degrees north, 123.6 degrees east, and you can see those wind fields extending out a fair way up to 220 nautical miles on those two northern quadrants. So Signal 5 warnings in effect for Babuyan Island, which is 168 kilometers away from the center of this storm. Santa Ana is 183 kilometers away, and that is also under a Signal 4 warning along with the rest of the Babuyan Islands and the southern Batanes. Signal 3 for northern Batanes, Cagayan, Apayao and Ilocos Norte, 202 kilometers from Basco, 597 from Manila, and 1046 from Hong Kong. And Signal 2 warning extending out through a few other provinces further south there in northern Luzon. So obviously we're very concerned about damaging winds of over 250 kilometers per hour sustained expected on some of the Babuyan group of islands this morning, with dangerous winds affecting wide areas of northern Luzon and stretching to the southern tip of Taiwan over the course of Monday. Dangerous winds are likely for southern China and Hong Kong on Tuesday night into Wednesday and possibly into Thursday for areas further towards the west, the Leizhou Peninsula and beyond. Our estimate for the forecast over the next few days then, and watching that wind field too, you can see the storm sidle into the South China Sea and gradually weaken as it does so, really weakening by the time it reaches the Leizhou Peninsula into the Gulf of Tonkin, and probably weakening to a tropical depression by the time it scrapes ashore the coast of Vietnam. Moving inland over Laos by the next weekend, it looks like it will be dissipating quite quickly after it does make that final landfall. So here it is right now at 160 mile per hour winds, JTWC slightly higher at 165 miles per hour. ADT estimates are very borderline at this point, although the eye temperature is looking pretty good, around about 17 degrees Celsius, and a massive red ring of minus 70 degree cloud tops wrapping all around the eye. We'll see it properly on satellite in a little while. And this is a graphical depiction of all of those warnings that are currently in effect, with Signal 1 extending as far south as northern Quezon, almost as far as the Metro Manila region, but not quite. But obviously heavy rainfall will be occurring over a wide area extending down there as well. Here's the JTWC forecast cone too, with the storm progressing into the South China Sea there. JTWC have it making its closest pass to Hong Kong, possibly still as a Category 4 there, although it does move a little bit further south than what the GFS model, which is what we're looking at now, is depicting. Typhoon force winds barely off the coast of Hong Kong there and possibly striking Macau, and then moving further inland over Guangdong. And there's that potential next system as well. That's a 40% chance I think we've given right now, or maybe even 50% at this point. It could become a brief and relatively weak, but possibly moderate tropical storm there, moving through the central to northern Philippines and possibly affecting some of those higher population areas as well, really blowing up in size in the South China Sea later on. Here's the simulated radar showing just how mean that core is looking as it continues on towards the west-northwest there, and it will hold on to that core pretty much all the way until its final landfall, or well, maybe not final landfall if it doesn't quite hit the coast there, and then on through the Gulf of Tonkin it will really lose its shape. But what we'll also see here is just the amount of rainfall that's falling over Taiwan from some of the bands, moving inland over China there as well, and residual rainfall over large parts of Luzon in the Philippines and some of those other islands as well, such as Mindoro. And we'll take a look at those rainfall totals over the next 7 days. Here they come. And first of all, you can see quite clearly the track of the storm. The southern part of the eye wall and wind field will be producing the highest amounts of rainfall, except in that notable exception area there, the high mountains of Taiwan, which could receive up to 700 or even 800 millimeters of rainfall. That would be 32 inches. In parts of Luzon there, the mountains getting up towards 24 inches of rainfall. That's 600 millimeters. And for some of the cities there as well, Manila possibly getting up to around 4 or 5 inches. Hong Kong maybe getting over 6 or 7 inches, getting towards 200 millimeters. Sea surface temperatures also looking pretty good all the way through the South China Sea there. No surprise there, of course, only marginally cooled by Mitag, which occurred a couple of days ago, the tropical storm. But temperatures are looking good. 28, 29 degrees Celsius, that's the minimum. It's probably going to be higher than that, maybe 30 or even 31 degrees in 1 or 2 spots as the storm continues through this area. It will be sucking up a huge amount of that heat energy. So here is all of the satellite imagery right now. First of all, looking at Ram Slider, and you can see that the storm has certainly taken a more westward movement in those last few hours, and that is continuing at this point, and that would take it pretty much towards Babuyan Island. It looks like that could receive a direct hit from this storm. When you look at all those islands ahead of it, it does appear that as though probably one of them will take a direct hit. The question is which one, but it looks like it may well be that one. All of those islands, though, will be smashed by some really intense winds there, gusting up to the super typhoon status, and obviously in some areas maybe even sustained winds at that. With this storm, who knows, possibly even getting back on an intensification trend after a possible eye wall replacement cycle earlier. And the pressure estimates that we saw on a drifting buoy earlier on, estimating a pressure of around 900 millibars. We had a peak of 899 earlier on, around 12 hours ago, a little bit more than that actually, and this storm is still pretty close to that intensity in terms of pressure, if not possibly even lower than what we're going with right now. Look at this satellite presentation though, the eye clearing out once again, a much larger eye, much warmer temperatures occurring in that eye as well, and all around it those cloud tops sort of equalizing, not quite seeing as much yellow there, minus 80s, but still looking very impressive indeed. There's a little look at radar from the Philippines. You can see a few areas there getting significant rainfall as we take a look at some of those bands affecting the northeastern coast, and here's a wide shot looking at the whole Philippine region there. A few monsoonal showers occurring in the South China Sea around it, but obviously this storm is front and center of everyone's minds right now as we look at it here. Quite a large system, not huge, but certainly a substantial size, with those winds extending out 220 nautical miles along those northern sides. Well, this is the latest around the world right now. I believe the Eastern Pacific system may have been named just now. I've not had time to check, this update literally just dropping. Hurricane Gabrielle just reaching hurricane status not far from Bermuda, and taking a look to Western Pacific again. Ragasa obviously extremely powerful. Neoguri also a Category 3 after peaking as a high-end Category 4 yesterday. Very impressive storm as well.